Non-fat Thor and Valkyrie join the Men in Black in the capital of Arizona. But why is it so dark? That and more on today's episode of The Real Review. So stay tuned.
Welcome to The Real Review.
Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. I'm here with Matt, Attack Formation. Hey. Yeah, that's courtesy of your newest, wardrobe peripheral.
Oh, man, I got a sweet Star Wars backpack.
It is very sweet. I'm slightly
really
jealous.
cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and I thought, hey, he's part of the Rebel Alliance now.
It says Rebel Squadron patch on it.
It does, actually,
Super rad.
Hopefully that's, officiate. Well, hopefully if there's ever actually, Star Wars things going down, they don't see that and go, he's part of the Rebel Alliance and throw you
I got a shout out. I got it from my wife for Father's Day, and it was awesome.
Very cool. Who am I today, Matt?
Today, everybody, I'm here with Joel Agent J Cunningham.
Agent J. I don't know what that stands for.
I think J was Will Smith's character.
Yeah, Agent J originally. Yep. I think it pretty much does refer to the first letter of there.
Yeah, that's what it's been, because Agent M was Molly, and
right. So, there you go. I don't know what the high thing was. The high T. I guess if you're like elevated in the...
Yeah, like... Yeah.
We'll talk about that later, I guess.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, yeah.
Sorry, folks. Yeah,
sure.
We're jumping into the review stuff.
It's all good.
Yeah. Anyways, welcome to the podcast, listeners. Matt and I here doing some reviews of some films that just came out. We're going to be talking about two films, in case you didn't get it from the intro. Men in Black International, as well as X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Definitely.
So I didn't get a chance to see X-Men. You did, so you're going to talk about that. But we're both going to take, at the beginning, some time to talk about the Men in Black International.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, Matt, why don't you give our listeners some ways to get connected to the podcast?
Yes, do that. We can do that.
I shall do that.
Basically, you can reach out a number of different ways and get connected. First one being our website, realreviewmedia.com. And then you can also connect through social media through that channel as well, which would be facebook.com, Instagram, Twitter @realreviewmedia, and then youtube.com/therealreview. And email us if you would like to drop us a line, ask us questions, tell us about stuff, whatever. You can do that. realreviewmedia@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt.
Totally.
It's been a while. We've been doing kind of like an every other week thing at the moment. Our
lives are just crazy.
Lives are crazy.
Yep.
I'm taking a trip next week, and then I have San Diego Comic-Con coming up later in the month of July.
This is the time in the podcast where I start to get a little bitter because I don't get to go to Comic-Con.
Well, you got the cool backpack, Matt.
I did get the cool backpack.
So,
that's my Comic-Con.
That's your Comic-Con. But I always do my best to keep you updated. I wish you were there. One year, we'll get you there. The whole
year.
But yeah, we've been doing a lot, but we're trying to stick at it, do it best, and we love the podcast and enjoying it. But in case you're new to the podcast, you haven't listened to us, maybe it's been a while, whatever, Matt and I like to break things down sort of on our two different styles. Matt tends to be more of the fan perspective, whereas I tend to be more of the critical, sort of analytical perspective, and we put those thoughts and perspectives together to give you kind of like the whole picture. So although there's times where, one of us kind of has to cover it, especially like, with X-Men coming up here and doing the review, but we do our best to give you what we think is a real good perspective, whatever we watch. And we're on a journey to watch all the films and the movies and to review them as best as we can. There's a limited amount of time.
We're like The Hobbit in the unexpected journey.
There you go. I like
except
that.
for better.
Yeah, and less hairy feet, hopefully, at least on my end.
Totally.
I can't speak for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get right into reviewing our first film, Men in Black International. So the synopsis for this one: the Men in Black have always protected the Earth from the scum of the universe. In this new adventure, they tackled their biggest threat to date, a mole in the Men in Black organization. It's like even a minor spoiler there, I guess, a little bit.
Right.
Director F. Gary Gray stars a number of folks, probably the most, noticeable of Chris Hemsworth as Agent H, Tessa Thompson as Agent M, Rebecca Ferguson as Riza, Emma Thompson as Agent O, and Liam Neeson as Agent High T. You also have Rafe Spall as Agent C, and Kumail Nanjiani as Pawnee, who I love him on Silicon Valley. He's a pretty good one. He's been branching into a lot of different stuff since then. But you got a lot of other people in there. Those are the sort of the biggest names that are part of this. Matt, why don't you start us off talking a little bit about this film?
This is the most...
How about this? What has been your experience? Because we've had a lot
Let's
of Men in
talk
Black
about that.
content.
That's a great question.
Yeah. Why don't we start with that?
I love the first Men in Black.
Okay.
And to me, it's kind of like it's just one of those movies that I grew up with as a kid, and just I watched it a ton, and it was just funny, and it was fun and really cool, kind of out there, and Will Smith's, that was really, I think, other than Independence Day, like my intro to him, like those two movies went hand in hand, and probably had a lot of similar fun as a kid, obviously, that I did with Independence Day as Men in Black also.
That movie in particular hit at almost just the right time.
Right.
There was sort of this resurgence at that period of like extraterrestrial kind of culture, weirdly. Plus Will Smith was like at the height of his career, coming out of Independence Day and other stuff. And it was just all things sort of came together in like this perfect way.
And it was a hit.
It
was a hit in box office, and they knew it, so they greenlit a sequel.
Yep.
And
which took a little while to get to, if I remember correctly.
I don't even remember that much of it, to be honest with you. I didn't care for it that much. I saw it once in theaters, and then that might have been it.
Yeah.
Third one, I went and see. I remember liking a little better than the third one, than the second one.
Yeah.
But it didn't reach anywhere near the heights of that first one.
Yeah.
Jermaine was in the third one. I kind of liked that, like bit of it, and there's some cool stuff that had to do with that, but I still wasn't. I don't know. It was just weird for me. I was like, it was not as fun.
Yeah. The second one hit a real low point in the series for me.
Yeah, Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah. I remember like literally in the theater moments of where the film would kind of pause for laughter.
Yeah.
And it would just be like crickets,
Yeah.
And how cheesy and stupid it was. Like I had a really hard time with the second one. It was such a disappointment.
Yeah.
Considering how much I love the first one. And the interesting thing about the first one is I remember seeing it when I was, it was a summer vacation for us in school, and I was really sick.
Yeah.
We were on vacation, and my mom and dad and my sister and I wanted to go see it, and we got stuck in the very front row.
Yeah.
And I ended up being like getting really sick. Like,
you're
just,
too close.
the front row. Yeah. And I still really liked the movie and ended up going and seeing it again because I didn't really feel like I'd given it the fair chance.
The second one? Okay.
No, the first one.
First one, yeah.
And then the second one was like the exact same experience, but normal viewing experience. Yeah. It was like it made me sick just by how bad it was almost. And then the third one, like you said, was I think better.
Yeah.
It felt better structured, better overall story, but it just wasn't. It didn't.
It was a little bit more of it was a better emotional story, the third one, but still didn't. It was still just wasn't. It wasn't the first one.
It had more heart.
Yeah.
And it was less cheesy.
Yeah.
Which takes us to Men in Black
International.
Yeah.
So mediocre. Like this is like the epitome of mediocre in my opinion. I was just like, I went with a friend, got real sleepy towards the end of it, to be honest with you. And it was, it was forgettable. It was really forgettable.
Yeah.
And they failed miserably as a whole when it comes to the humor. Yeah. So many attempts at humor that didn't land at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're trying to be funny right now, and this is not funny.
Yeah. What did you like about? How about that a little bit?
The stuff
too?
that I did like. So if I had to give one character like the funny award, it would be Pawnee. But only like a third of what he said was funny.
Yeah.
I liked. Okay, so I did like a lot of there was a lot of visual things that I liked. And there's one line that I've been saying with my friend that I went with, nothing but our wits and our Series 7 deatomizer. Like that, that's one line that I like I took from the thing. But other than that, man, I couldn't recall a lot of, I don't think I could recall a lot of specific details.
Yeah.
And it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. It wasn't funny. I felt like it was shot weird. There was some weird stuff that happened. Like it felt like the frame rate changed like from scene to scene.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. It was just a weird experience. And there was like these weird relationships that were trying to be like Men in Black, quirky relationships that they did. And I was like, eh.
I think this film to me was, to say a couple positives, special effects were very good.
Yeah, there's some really cool, especially with the bad guys. I thought was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think they did a good job with the overall sense of world building. Like the MIB International was, it felt very fluid. It didn't feel like they were giving me too much, where they were trying to like force jam this like, oh, it's a whole international thing down my throat. So I liked that, and I think the acting was fine.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything unbearable about the acting. But most of my critiques fall very similarly to what you're saying. It felt very much like a case of trying to play both sides of the coin.
I liked Tessa Thompson's character's intro.
Yeah.
I liked that whole beginning and like her obsession with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna minor spoiler it, but like I liked it up until the point, because this is very obvious, up until the point where she actually joined the Men in Black. I felt like
that's
that
in the
was
trailer, so that's not a spoiler.
right, exactly. But it felt super rushed.
Yeah.
Like literally go from like, hey, she's working to try and join, and then she's there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. There's like a huge jump in where her character is as far as like her development as a Men in Black agent.
Yep.
And it just kind of is completely not even shown.
Yep.
And I felt like that was a huge chunk of like how I would have connected with her.
Yeah.
As a character, because events prior to that, sort of in the intro to the film, like the first act of the film, if you will, were very, very base level, very simple, very like, okay, we're just going to give you like the basic information here. And one of the things that was so cool, not to harken back too much to older stuff, but to the original Men in Black, is with Will Smith's character, you really got a sense of him like understanding the significance of becoming a Men in Black agent, of the loss that comes with that, of the giving. But for her, it was just like, nope, done.
Yep.
Easy peasy, just right in there.
Yeah.
So you got a little bit of like the struggle that she's going with, but it all felt like stuff that she was doing to herself.
Oh, yeah.
Less than like what was happening to her. And so I never connected with Tessa Thompson's character in a very significant way. From then on, it basically just becomes a very minor fish out of water type story, but never to the point where it really is a detriment too significantly to her character. So again, I don't feel like I'm connecting with her because they like wanted to make her this like super intelligent, like super awesome potential future agent. So they never really made her struggle that significant. The struggle was actually much more on Chris Hemsworth's side. And I think because of that, I ended up connecting with this character in a much stronger way.
Right.
But you never really knew why he was struggling.
Right.
And they never, as well, if you like really think about it, they never really clarify.
They don't clarify
why he was the way that he was.
You're left to assume why he is the way he is.
Exactly.
And you're like, is it because of this thing that happened? Okay, I guess that's why.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it creates these very blank, simple, like one check story arc. Like they went from here to there. And it's like, I want these people to be operating on multiple levels. I mean, the cool thing about Will Smith is that, you know, he's got this almost like father figure in the film, and there's like a story arc with that, as well as his abilities and giving up and sacrificing to be what he is. There's also a minor kind of love angle to kind of minor, but there's like a lot of cool, like simple story arcs that it's approachable for an adult and for a child. Where this one, it was just like here to here. And I think as well, because the fact that it was more of a not espionage, but kind of like a mystery as far as what's going on with, you know, who the mole is and why they're there. You don't really have a sense of like who the main antagonist of the film is. You know, there's these two characters that are the antagonist, but then they're very, very minor and they're kind of done away with very quickly in a lot of ways. And you never really relate to them. You never really understand where they're coming from in the galaxy, where they're coming from, or really why they're trying to do
I don't think they
doing.
say a word the entire time.
They say like 3 or 4 words, and then they have like a couple weird dance-offs, like one in particular. And I think that was the other thing I was going to say of the two sides of the coin, that it felt like they were trying to have more of a modern approach to the film, but also have some stylistic moments that kind of more harken back to the original with like the awkward close-ups to a person's face. And kind of the way the camera would like swoosh by and do like different like flipped on its head type motions and stuff. And it felt like, hey, look, we're Men in Black. But it was like, but only kind of, you know. So it just really wasn't engaging. It didn't really feel like I was honestly watching too much of a Men in Black film, except for the production design, which was good. Production design was good. So yeah, I don't know too much more to say, to be honest. Any other thoughts about the movie, Matt?
Nah, I don't know. Here's the thing. I wasn't like super hyped up about this movie coming out. And I don't know a ton of people who were. I thought the trailers kind of looked like it would be a fun movie, but I don't even know how much fun I had during the movie, you know? And so it was a little bit disappointing in that regard. It wasn't even like, let me just shut my brain down and enjoy this movie and shove popcorn in my face and like laugh, It wasn't even that.
No, there's a weird, you mentioned this. I felt like to me there was a weird sense of editing and pacing.
There was something weird with it.
Things would just kind of cut oddly.
Yeah.
And so you felt a little bit like, I don't feel like I can just relax and just get into this film. It feels like there's some very odd things going on at times. And so, I wasn't able to personally just relax.
Yeah.
And I was like on the border, especially with Pawnee, of like annoying, stupid.
Yeah.
And like sometimes funny. And so it kind of like kept me from disengaging because every time he would start to say something, I would always think, is this going to be really dumb?
Yeah.
Or is this going to be kind of funny?
None of the stuff he said was like particularly like dumb or stupid humor. It just didn't land. Like it was just like, it didn't work. And then there was a couple though that I laughed out loud. I was like, that was good. Yeah. But for the most part, no. And I don't know if I've ever seen such a movie that I felt so just like meh about. It's so weird.
Yeah, I would agree. It was just a lot
terrible.
Of meh.
It was just
a lot of meh.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. I really didn't need another Men in Black movie either. I felt
Nobody
like, they gave it 3 shots, one of which was very good.
Yeah.
2 of which were at best just okay. And I was kind of done with it.
Well,
but,
this is the second worst one in my opinion. If I were to rank them, I go 1, 3, this one, and then 2.
Yeah, I would agree. There was last thing I'll probably say, because we could just beat this dead to beat this to a pulp, but there was a lot of just circumstantial, that worked out because of that type stuff in the script, where things just kind of had to go in a certain direction. And so they would line up that way. And there was plenty of times where I'm like, you have this many options in front of you. It's like 15 to 20 different options. And it's very apparent that you're going to take this option because the script demands it. Yeah. There's a very simple example of that to me in there's a chase scene that takes place about halfway through the movie. Mm-hmm. And Chris Hemsworth's on this like motorcycle alien space tech thing. And they just throw the whole they can't let alien technology be seen by humans out the window. There's like one minor part where they like try and flash a few people, and then they're like everybody else, I guess it's just fine.
Don't worry about it, guys.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
We'll explain that in the paper
we got
tomorrow.
Those couple people. It's important that they didn't know, and then they ride down this alleyway and they just happen upon this giant squadron of Men in Black agents that are just happen to be exactly where they are,
and then they have light speed.
Yeah, and then they
I'm sorry, we're totally ruining this right now.
It's okay, but
Spoiler.
you see the building that they're in, and the Men in Black agents are in front of them, and they've got like exits behind them. They've got exits on the side. They've got all these different directions they could go, and they're like, nope, we're going to go right at them so we can do light speed and have a dumb joke about whether light speed is a red button or a blue button.
Yeah.
And it just everything was like, okay, all right, I guess that's what you're going to do. And how you're going to go.
Yep.
Yeah, so Matt, what are you going to give this one?
Since it was sub-meh, I'm going to give it a 70.
That's exactly what I'm going to give it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
We've been on track lately,
We've
Joel.
just been lining up perfectly.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe we've been at this too long, Matt. Maybe our few points aren't as divergent as we think.
Our last 4 or 5 movies have been all the same score, guys.
Yeah.
Just so if you're keeping track at home.
Yeah, I think I would have marked it down into the D zone for sure if the acting had been worse. If Pawnee had just been, and the humor had just been a little bit more annoying.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It wasn't annoyingly bad, but it was on the verge of that. I think if the production design had been worse or the music had been, if one element had just been slightly down, then it would have hit D for sure. Yeah. But yeah, 100%. As it is, watch it at home and then forget about it.
Watch it on some free streaming thing.
Absolutely. Yep. So with that then, let's move into our other movie that you had a chance to see and I did not.
Yes.
Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix. Let me break that down for y'all a little bit, okay? So this one is Jean Grey begins to develop incredible powers that corrupt and turn her into a Dark Phoenix. Now the X-Men will have to decide if the life of a team member is worth more than all of humanity. Sounds like a great question. Directed by Simon Kinberg. A little bit of trivia: it's the same one who wrote The Last Stand, who co-wrote The Last Stand, which also dealt with the Dark Phoenix saga. And this stars all your favorite people from James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, Nicholas Hoult, Sophie Turner, Ty Sheridan, Alexander Shipp, Evan Peters.
People.
Okay. Wow, another really. Okay, so for me, this is another really underwhelming movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think you and me are on the same page of this. I think we talked about this. We both enjoyed Apocalypse more than what I think critics gave it credit for.
Yeah. It's still hated by many people.
Right, but actually, I relatively liked Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't tell you exactly why, but I think the people that hated it really just didn't like the Apocalypse arc because it didn't match up with like the comics or something.
Yeah.
So, or the lore somehow.
It wasn't a great movie, but it was okay.
Right. Yeah. I liked it. But so this movie deals with the Dark Phoenix saga again. And one of the things that Simon Kinberg said is he was trying to make it more intimate film. And I'm like, the Dark Phoenix saga is like an epic saga. Like you can't make it an intimate film.
No.
Like I don't think that works. And it really, really shows. And they're trying to like highlight some of the relationships that are happening. And first, let me say the trailers give away like all the major set pieces. Like all of them are like there's a bit of it in the trailers, like of each major like action piece.
Yeah.
The visuals were cool. I really liked that. The opening was actually pretty good. And then it was just really kind of slow. And non-significant and boring a little bit too.
Yeah.
And again, there are some cool parts, but I don't understand some of the story elements. I don't understand how they connected what happened in Apocalypse to explaining what happened in Dark Phoenix. The antagonist is kind of unclear. I heard that the antagonists were originally supposed to be Skrulls.
Oh, jeez.
And it kind of was like, I kind of see how they could have been Skrulls at one point in time after watching the movie. Mm-hmm. And it was so blah and like dark, depressing. There was no joy in the movie.
Yeah.
I felt like there was at least some joy to be had. And the previous two films that had Quicksilver in it had a lot of joy, especially when it came to his character, because he had some of the greatest scenes.
Yeah.
He doesn't have his scene, like in the previous two films, like Quicksilver has his scene.
Yeah.
That does not happen in this movie.
Okay.
Which was really disappointing. And
waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, and I'm like, and the dialogue is really bad also. Mm-hmm. And he's got like these quippy one-liners that aren't very quippy and they're kind of cheesy. Mm-hmm. And like not even fun cheesy. It was just like, what? I don't know what they were going for here. And I think, first of all, this movie was subject to a bunch of reshoots and all that stuff. And like they said, they changed the whole third act and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what it was they specifically did, but this movie's the release date's been changed multiple times. And all that stuff just doesn't lend to a good movie most of the time.
Yeah.
And there are exceptions out there, but this one it didn't work. And I think it showed quite a bit. And the climax of the film was very anticlimactic in my opinion.
Yeah. I heard it takes place on like a train or something.
That's what they keep saying. And And that's in the trailers.
Yeah.
All that. And I'm like, oh, great. So the whole third act, like there's a large chunk that's in the trailers. And I was like, that's so disappointing.
I don't want to arbitrarily just pick on one actor. But I have my own sense of certain characters and who they and how they do it. Not characters, but actors. How do you feel specifically Sophie Turner did?
I thought she was fine.
Okay. I've been mixed with her in certain
I liked
things.
her in all the other films. This one I thought she was fine as well. I wouldn't say she's bad I think she was all right. Yeah, she was good.
It's more of a can she carry this character type thing. It's not is she a bad actress, but could she carry this depth of
I caught her accent on one line.
Okay.
I was like,
I don't know if that's her fault necessarily. That's bad editing. They could have probably overdubbed
I was like,
that.
But anyways, I caught that. But other than I thought all the acting was fine, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think Jennifer Lawrence is 100% relieved to be done with this series.
Yeah, even in the brief little clips I've seen of her in the role, she just looks like she's like, I'm just here for the paycheck, which is hard to explain why.
Yeah, people thought she was phoning in the last movie, but I didn't think that. But at the same time, James McAvoy's good. There's some really good like moments. Some of the motivations for Nicholas Holt's character, for Beast, was weird. It was so weird.
Yeah.
Magneto was like some of his stuff was a little weird too. Like some of his like his like flip floppiness of like what side he's on. Like I was like, what? There's just a lot of weird motivations in this, and it didn't get it. It was a really disappointing ending.
Yeah.
And
would this have been a story best told over 2 films? Do you think that would have helped?
I didn't think it needed to be told, to be honest with you.
Yeah, at all.
At all. Like they brought it to life a little bit with Apocalypse at the end, but that's technically not even like the Dark Phoenix saga. That was just like to be like, hey, Jean's powerful.
Yeah.
And but it needed to be done by someone else who didn't have a hand in The Last Stand.
Yeah.
And it needed to be done. It could have been done in an arc, but I think it would have needed to be done right. Like, I have a feeling that this is all going to be rebooted in 5 to 10 years, and Feige's people are going to get it right. That's just my opinion. I think that's what's going to happen, and I think that whoever Feige gets to when Marvel fully does the X-Men, stories, they're going to do a Phoenix saga, and there's possible that could be a phase, like that could be the big bad. Down the road, maybe after the next few phases are done. So
definitely the character Phoenix has the power.
Right. Yeah. And then they find that's the she turns to the evil, and then eventually, 5 years down the road they beat Phoenix.
I remember different. I didn't read the comic books, but I do remember watching the cartoon.
Right.
And her story arc, was such a big part of the cartoon during that period.
It lasted a long time, too.
It lasted a long time.
Yeah.
And it's like this could be done in a lot of ways, but it seems like they took a bad path.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Really, really disappointing. I'm going to give it I'm flip-flopping on this, too, but I think I'm going to give it a 64.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a pretty low one for you this year.
Yeah, I was disappointed because I really like all the X-Men movies.
Except for 3. I did not like 3.
Well, here's the thing, though. I appreciate 3 in the grand scheme of things because the last few movies retconned it.
Yeah.
Like deliberately. Yeah. Like they got rid of that, you know? And I was like, great.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
So this is just a sour note to end on.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet, as we talked about. I was out of the country, but I'll probably get around to watching it at some point. Maybe I'll give you personally my thoughts on it a bit. But I like what you had to say about Marvel moving in and taking over the property. I think we'll find out what their plans are in the next little bit here. They've said that after the release of Spider-Man coming in the beginning of July, we're going to get their phase 4 or 5. What is it? 5? Phase 4. Phase 4 plans. Which
because Spider-Man Far From Home is technically the end of phase 3.
Yes, correct. Yeah, that could involve X-Men. Who knows? I mean, it's a whole world. Yeah, it's a whole new world for them, and they're definitely looking to make use of these properties at probably high acquisition cost.
Yeah.
So, awesome, Matt. Well, thank you for giving us your thoughts and perspectives on that. We would love to hear additionally any of your thoughts and perspectives here wrapping up the podcast. So if you want to send us any of your input, what you felt about either of these films, Dark Phoenix or Men in Black International, we would love to know what those are. realreviewmedia@gmail.com is the place to do that. Additionally, just a reminder, some ways to get connected, realreviewmedia.com. We always post our episodes up there. Additionally, we've got facebook.com/realreviewmedia where Matt and occasionally myself, but mostly Matt, are always posting trailers and different information, news that's coming out about the films that are upcoming. And then youtube.com/realreview for our vids and videos. We also have Instagram and Twitter, which are both @realreviewmedia.
Definitely.
Matt, any further thoughts or anything?
No, that's it.
Excited for the release of another film.
Toy Story 4?
Yes, we actually had a chance to see.
Joel's already seen it.
Yes, I did. I forgot that you did not get to go.
I haven't seen it yet.
No worries.
I'm going on Friday night.
So yeah, I couldn't talk about it specifically by name at the time, but I think the embargo's up now. So when I saw the preview for it, it was like 75% literally just hand drawn.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting to see how that translates. But if it's the film that we even saw at that stage,
it's crushing it on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's
like 99%.
It's a great movie.
Yeah,
it was one of the biggest shocks to me. Because
I think it is for everybody, to be honest with you. Everybody's like, don't touch Toy Story. That's like a perfect trilogy.
There's nothing to be told here, but it's like, actually, this is really good.
That's cool.
So cool. Awesome. Well, we will check that out and hopefully be back to you shortly and talk to you about that. So, anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, it's been real.
It's been real.